Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Some of My Jokes Don't Land. This is me yet again, Ayan. And what's up, guys? What's going on? I hope everything is good as usual. And today's episode is actually pretty slow. Like, I was thinking that for the couple of episodes we had guests on, and it was very systematic, very new, and I wanted to bring back that things that we used to do where I used to talk for hours and few people used to listen. So I wanted to get that back. So today's episode is going to be a very chilled out episode because I'm going to talk about a very important but yet very uh, what to say, very disbalanced thing that is going on in my life, like, which is a part of my life rather, which is the concept of comedy. I know it's a very big topic to talk about because comedy is such a big thing, right? But I'm going to talk about how it impacted me, how things got different, how things got very better after I started following these things. I'm recording this during pre Diwali, like one day to go, and they're testing crackers in the middle of the night. So anybody listening to anything that is blasting or anything, it's just crackers, just for your information. So that's it, guys. Today we are going to discuss about comedy, and I hope you guys have a great time. I'll be time stamping everything. Thanks for coming back yet again. I hope you're enjoying what I'm trying to do. Also, another thing, this is going to be the 17th episode of the whole show, and this is the, I think, 7th episode of this season. So we have 3 more episodes to go, and then we're going to take a break yet again. And these 3 episodes I'm planning to do something very exciting. At least one of them is going to be another guest episode, and I'm planning about the rest too. I think it's going to be fun as well. Okay, if you're following me on Instagram, you might as well know what the final episode is going to be. It's about something that I'm doing a marathon of for 15 straight days till the end of the month, and then once I'm done, I'm going to make an entire episode about it. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do that. You will get to know it. The link is in the description if you're wondering. And that's it, guys. Today's episode is going to be about comedy. I think everybody needs comedy in their life. So with that, let's get into it. Let's start the episode. So this is me, Ayan. You are listening to Some of My Jokes Don't Land. Let's get it started. Come on. Hey guys, welcome, and like I said, today's episode is going to be awesome. Now, there are firecrackers cracking like every second, and I have to retake it. So, from now on, I'm just going to go for it. See, there was a firecracker, yeah, I can't do shit about it, so I'm sorry. Uh, like, you try to record at the middle of the night. It is 1:20 a.m. right now, and they're cracking firecrackers. Whole day, there was nothing, only people talking, and when people are quiet, these things are happening. See, they are yet again, man. Now I'm not going to acknowledge them anymore. We'll just go with it. So that's it. So that was what I was talking about. Comedy is a very important thing, I think, in everybody's life. As you can see, I've changed the lighting a bit for anybody seeing me on YouTube because I thought a change was needed. I was tired of all the blue and purple thing, and actually I did something for a Halloween thing for a friend's Instagram page, and they asked me to make things Halloween themed. So I put orange lights, and I really liked it. So I thought, let's do something different this time. Let's do something like things that we don't do usually. This is crazy, man. So many firecrackers. Anyway, uh, so that was what I was talking about. So I needed some change. So I changed the lighting a bit. I put Dave Chappelle in the background for anybody who found out, who can identify that it's Dave Chappelle. Because these are the things that I am doing because of today's episode, obviously. Now the picture is for today's episode, the lighting is just a change I'm trying, and still I haven't figured out how it looks good, so I'll be trying that yet again. Trust me, for 15 minutes I tried to fix this mic on a proper stand that I have bought. I use it for streaming, but I can't get it fixed anywhere, so it has to be in this corner. Anyway, I don't know, I'm talking about all these things. Let's get started with the episode. So, comedy has been a very key part of my life ever since I was growing up. Obviously, I didn't understand the concept of stand up of or improv. For me, comedies were actually films that I saw, comedy films. And few of the people who deeply inspired me was Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was somebody who I thought hands down has to be the funniest person ever. Fuck, who is cracking so many firecrackers, man, now? So Jim Carrey was the person who I admired a lot. Like, I can't even say, like, when I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I think I used to watch all of his films, anything that would come on television. I think Bruce Almighty was my favorite film for a very long time during that period. Somebody, I don't know, this is somebody is still cracking it. I'm going to lose this shit. Come on. So that's it. So Jim Carrey was the thing that I was talking about, and Jim Carrey, as everybody knows, is probably one of the greatest comedy actors, along with Robin Williams for me. Robin Williams also has a greater part in my life. I'll talk about it. But to start with, yeah, Jim Carrey was the person who deeply and heavily inspired me, and I had this connection with comedy from a very early age. I used to tend towards it more than any other genre of films initially, and that's how I got started. I started watching his films. Obviously, in Hindi films, I used to see Govinda a lot. Govinda till day has to be one of my most favorite actors. Like, I remember when I went to film school, and first day of film class, they asked me who is your favorite actor from Bollywood, and I said it's Govinda, hands down. Like, I don't think anybody has entertained me that much, and he's very very hilarious in his own ways. Anyway, so comedy started from there. I started watching films that had comedy elements in them. I was very I was very young when I figured out that what's good and what's bad. I think I remember that few things I didn't like back then, and they never caught on. Like, I really enjoy slapstick humor, but sometimes in our films they overdo these things, and I hated those things. I remember, but I didn't have any access to stand up because stand up scenes were not very popular, and on uh, let's say the internet, the things that were there had was very much American, and there are references and stuff that I was too young to understand, so I never got into it initially. Anyway, so that was my initial days where I was dabbling into the concept of comedy and what comedy is. So it was Jim Carrey movies basically. Then what happened, on Indian television there was a show called Great Indian Laughter Challenge, and I remember that it was one of those things where I was seeing people talk and do hilarious things, and it was really really funny. So that got me excited more and more that come on, this is something that people do. And I recently saw an interview of Raju Srivastav on Saurabh Panch's channel, and that guy hasn't changed a bit. Like, he was exactly the same. He did basically 1 hour of stand up, and there are a few things that I got to know which was very very interesting, which is that he was very popular way before the show. It's just that he was never on television, so people never knew of it, but he was very popular in the, let's say, comedian circuit that was going on in India back then, which is very very negligible, but it was there. So that was it. So that show got me to understand that how you can create a setup or a punchline. Those things were very important for me to understand back then. How to set a scene, how characters work, these are the things, and all of them were basically doing mimicry or character work. And on the very parallel, there was a Bengali television show called Miracle, which was exactly the same. It was basically a stand-up show, and the jokes and stuff were very very similar, like setup, punchline, basic or basic mimicry or characterizations. These were the things that were going on. Mostly people played character and did funny shit. Also, you have to keep in mind that censorship exists in India, so anything that they did, they had their hands tied pretty much. So that is something I can account them for. But those were the two shows that I used to watch as a child, and I was very, very excited to see them every week. I used to wait for them basically, and that got me very, very excited about comedy because I realized that it's something people do. But till then, there was no stand up in India, to be really honest, like no stand up in this scale which exists now and which exists everywhere around the world. So that was the point where I think I kind of got away from it for a while because I was not very serious about the concept of comedy. Comedy has like one of the hugest of impact on my life till date, but till this phase it hadn't come yet in that way. So what happened is that in the 6th or 7th grade, I remember that I was started becoming more vocal in school. I was starting to do multiple things, and I, along with two of my friends, decided to come up with this trio. And we used to do basically jokes and comedy in school, and it was really fun because first of all we never wrote any jokes. We stole from anywhere where we could find. We were stealing jokes from basically any place that I could find, like those two shows, Miracle and Red Indian Laughter Challenge. And I had internet from the 5th grade. Even though I was not understanding context of few things, I was stealing the punchline or the setup, or somehow I was doing stuff, I remember. And we were a massive hit. Really, trust me, we were a massive hit in our school. Everybody liked us, and we also did some edgy stuff back then about, and we got into trouble couple of times, but still people liked us because we were doing hilarious shit. We would go up on stage and do literally the silliest of jokes possible, and people would laugh because we are all kids, right? Nobody got into political satire or something like that, but basic slapstick or basic set of punchline things we would do. And everything was stolen, no joke. Like, think we came up with 3 4 jokes, that all. We would just find the jokes on internet, on television, and would make the setup. So that was original. We would make the setup where, let's say, 3 characters are interacting or something. Sometimes you would just do stand up. One person will tell a joke, get out. Another person will tell a joke and go out. It was very, very hilarious. But that happened till school. Okay, so in school, that was where I drew the line, and I think that's where everything ended also. Okay, so that was still like the 10th grade. We did till like ninth grade and 10th grade we had our board exams, so we couldn't do much. But that's where it ended because all of us went to different schools. Like, two of us remained in the same school, but we had to change the school because our school only had till 10th. The new school, there was too much restrictions to do these things. So that's also, it was a time when I started going out to the proper city for, let's say, tuitions and stuff, which I never actually ended up going because of these things which I'm going to talk about. So I was very much interested in comedy because back then, I think just in the 10th grade or ninth grade in India, stand up was getting very, very popular because of the all the stand up scene. I think the Comedy Store had opened in Mumbai and couple of other places, and names were popping like Kenny Sebastian, and I think pretentious movie reviews had already come. And you are seeing clips on YouTube, and you are getting excited that they were doing stuff that you find relatable in some way. So that got me more and more excited because it is something I had seen like from a very early age. So right from the 8th or ninth grade, I had started understanding few concepts and other stuff. And so I was also watching, let's say, Hollywood, or let's say, sorry, English comics. Basically, I was watching English comics now. I found George Carlin, which was a very bad idea because I think I didn't understand so many of the things that he said. But very quickly I found that all the late night comedians, specifically Conan O'Brien, they were very funny, so that attracted me. And I think you guys already know from the very first episode I've spoken about how much I love Conan O'Brien. So, and Jimmy Fallon and Colbert. So people would come on their show and do jokes. So these are the things that I found really really interesting, and I saw them. And like I said, in the 11th and 12th grade, I went to the city and I saw that stand up was being done at so many places near me. To be really honest, Kolkata has probably one of the worst scenes for stand up, but still I managed to find a couple of places, and I tried my hand at it, and it went well couple of times actually, and it was really really interesting. I also got to see performances for the first time of real comedians, and it was genuinely one of the most exciting things that I have done, because nobody knew I was doing it from my family or friends. I was just going on stage and doing things, trying out material, and because it was very new over there as well, so people were giving chances to anybody and everybody. I think now it might have changed a bit, I have no idea, but that was happening very much. And to be really honest, most people sucked back then in Kolkata specifically, because I think, like I said, it was very new. Couple of people were very very good, like Anirvan Das Gupta, Vaibhav Sethia, and Saurav Ghosh. They are like the three who made something out of them by starting from Kolkata. Rest, there was a Facebook page called Kolkata Comedians where they would update about shows and stuff, and I would find time and go and see a couple of them sometimes. And it was very very, let's say, shady at times, because the places were very far and stuff, but I managed somehow. And that was it, that's where it stopped actually. And then it started for a bit in college. I went to Mumbai and I tried my hand at it couple of times, but things happened and I genuinely didn't try again. This is something which I really want to do, but I stopped because I felt it was not the right time. Things were different in my life and I was not in the space to continue it. But more and more I thought about it, and currently, if you ask me where I'm at with trying comedy on stage, I'm at a very disbalanced stage, because I want to do it because I enjoy looking at it, and I want to convert that as well. So I'm trying to make up my mind about it, to be really honest. So I'm genuinely trying to make up my mind about it, because I have basically no idea of how I'm going to go ahead with it, because I'm currently in Kolkata, but I'm planning to move to Mumbai, and with my job I'm trying to find out a way to balance it. First of all, I have to get a job, that's another thing as well. But let's not deviate from our point. I was talking about comedy, and I am very sure that this episode is going to be only a recommendation thing, mostly towards the end as I approach it. And I think that's, I'm completely fine with it. But I think I have to say a couple of more things. So in Mumbai, I was actually staying in Mumbai on the area I was in proper Mumbai for the last 3 years, and my college was very far from the scene. It was at a place which was not in proper Mumbai, so I didn't have the access to come to all these things. But for the last 3 months, which was November through November 19 to March of 2020, I was in Mumbai proper area for my internship, and I went out every weekend to watch something, and I did it, and I tried once again, and it felt really nice to be on stage and perform. Like, it's something I always like to do. In school also, I was very much vocal and I did so much stuff. I think this podcast would never exist because if I didn't try my hand on stage back then. And that's why I think comedy gave me a voice, because I was never into other stuff. Like, I can't sing well, I can't dance at all. So anything I did on stage was basically speaking. And I found being humorous was very important. But very soon I learned a very big thing from the master in the back, Dave Chappelle. He has this saying which goes like this, that if you are funny, it's okay. But if you can't be funny, you at least try to be interesting. And if you are interesting, if you have to be interesting, You should know multiple things or know how to present them. And I moved all my focus into that. So that was the thing. I'm very so like I said, during the last year ending, I think around this time, I was watching comedy heavily, like live, and I was performing also a bit, thoda thoda. I did actually twice, to be really honest, and I really enjoyed it again. And I'm hoping to start it again. Like, I don't want a career out of it. I just want to do it because it feels nice, and I want to become a filmmaker. But it would be really nice if I so do it on the side, because it will help me basically keep my mental stability, I feel. So that's why it's important to me. Becoming a therapy session now, so let's move on from these things. So that's the thing, comedy has always been a very very exciting, and now I think quickly I'll be going through everything that I have seen in the last, let's say, 15 years that I have liked in comedy. I'll be telling you my honest opinions about them. So in India, I genuinely have three favorites that I think I can watch any day. First is Kenny Sebastian. Kenny Sebastian is somebody who I really admire because he can do everything. He is very funny. He can sing, he can edit, he can produce, he can do everything. He's basically started much like this on his own, and then he developed into it. You wouldn't believe, actually, I didn't believe this fact when I heard this for the first time, but his video got viral, which was about Indian restaurants. And even before that, he had like 3 full-hour specials ready, and he was doing them, and it wasn't very popular. And this one video that he hated got popular, and that's surprising that this happens. But he's somebody who I really enjoy. Second is Kanan Gill. I find him to be very smart and very underrated when it comes to pure stand-up comedy. He does acting, and he's well known for his pretentious movie reviews thing. But I think his material is very funny. His first stand-up special was genuinely very funny. I haven't seen the new Netflix one. Kenny Sebastian's Netflix one I have seen. I've actually seen bits of it where he was trying things out when I was in Mumbai, and I got to see it live, and it was pretty funny. I haven't seen his stand-up whole thing also. Like, no, haven't seen his Netflix special, but I have seen bits and parts of it because I went through it and I saw it's the same thing basically. So that I enjoyed a lot, and I will recommend you please go through and watch it. Also, there's too many mosquitoes. These are the things about winter, like, I'm finally satisfied that it's winter and I don't need the fan. I won't sweat as much, but mosquitoes are increasing, so I don't know what to do. Anyway, third person who I really like is actually Zakir Khan. I think he is a storyteller. He's a basic storyteller. Like, I think more than comedy, his storytelling skills are very very powerful, and that's why he succeeds so much. And I really like him. He can like hold an audience, and he can tell them jokes or make them sad. That's up to him, but he knows how to hold an audience with his stories. So that is very interesting, and I always found him to be interesting. Another comedian which, like, I don't know if it if she comes in anybody's favorite lists or not, but she comes in mine. There's a very specific reason for it. Multiple times I've been on shows and I've gone because it was basically for somebody else. Like, it's very, let's say if Kenny is performing or if Tanmay Bhatt is performing, and I never went to see her. It is Kanis Surkha, but she has never disappointed me. Like, she always comes out to be very hilarious all of the times that I've seen her live, so I'll put her on the list. I don't find her stand up to be very very good, but I do enjoy the things she does live on stage. So that is a thing that I wanted to say. Now I think these are my end of recommendations or things people I like in the Indian scene. Now when it comes to world of comedy in a whole, I think there are multiple people that I would recommend, and I would ask you guys to please watch their content. I think I would start with the master over there, Mr. Dave Chappelle. please watch everything he has done. I would say please watch everything. I think I also spoke a lot about him in the people I admire episode, and I think I wouldn't go much into it. He is basically a living legend right now. Please start with his monologue that he did on SNL, I think last week. Like, currently, he has transcended above a comedian, he has become a preacher, which was at George Carlin's end stages as well. But he doesn't have to do comedy right now, he just basically comes on stage, tells a story. He's funny with the things he does. He knows that, so he doesn't have to tell jokes. And basically, he has now become a speaker. He also mentions in his SNL monologue, which by the way was 16 minutes long. No SNL monologue goes that much now. It's just because he's the goat, he can do it. So basically, he says that I'm telling you things, but you guys won't listen to me unless I put a punchline at the end, and that's sad. He mentioned that, and it's very important because he speaks about everything. He has this very good special also, which was 846, I think. Sorry, I'm forgetting the exact number. It was based on George Floyd's killing. You should check that out as well. And please watch everything that he has done on Netflix. I think even the Chappelle show is coming on Netflix now. So please check that out. I think you can't watch just one thing that he has done. The moment you get into one of his things, you will watch the other stuff, that you will quickly search for other things that he has done. It's a basic thing now. I have seen multiple people do it. I'm sure you guys will do the same. So moving on, I actually have the list that I made on with me now. So I'll be referring to it because there are so many names I have to go through. So right after you're done with Dave Chappelle, okay. So first of all, let me tell. I'm telling you names of people who I genuinely admire and who are very relevant right now as well. So I'd go by that. Obviously, there are people like Richard Pryor or George Carlin who are greats, but I won't speak of them very much because, to be honest, they're a bit dated now. So just to keep things in relevance, I would speak more of people who are relevant right now and who are great as well compared to older greats. So that's what I wanted to say. Another comedian who I really admire and I have been looking up his stuff for a very long time is Bill Burr. Bill Burr is the definition of a rant comedian. He doesn't tell jokes, he rants, and that's his specialty. A couple of episodes ago, I did talk with my friends Kushi and Ayushi about one of his monologues, which people found to be really offensive. Go check that episode out. And I have a specific clip about just his monologue. So it was his SNL monologue as well. And he's the standard definition of a ranting comedian, and I can't tell how many times I've seen him making Conan O'Brien laugh like mad. Like it's a thing I visit on YouTube more than often because it's very hilarious. I've seen his specials couple of times. I've seen two of his specials actually, and I've seen him on multiple podcasts, and his opinions and how he speaks is very hilarious. He has a bit about helicopter and pilots, which is very interesting. It's very interesting because he tells the story twice. It's about a guy committing suicide when on a helicopter ride, and he once tells the story as the guy who commits the suicide and once by the from the pilot's POV, and it's very very interesting because I had never seen stuff like that. Another comedian, okay, moving on, that I would highly recommend of people to find and search of is Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald is a strange and different guy, to be really honest. He's one of my favorite persons. Like, comedian is different, persons to look and hear most of the time because of what he is. He's basically a old guy who knows he's very smart but he talks shit. That's all. People who are smart but pretend to be dumb are my favorite kind of people, who can use it in a right way, not to others' disadvantage. And he's one of that. Even Stephen Fry is like that, but he's some level else. He can be offensive, he can be anything, people don't say anything. He has come under the radar a couple of times, but he's just hilarious. Like, check him out. He does this insanely long jokes that people find to be boring, but they're hilarious. His definition is basically an anti-humor comedian, which is very interesting as a genre, and I don't know if many people will like it, but check him out. I think Nerd Writer did an episode or a video on him. You should check that out as well, as how he is the best, and how if you want to have a litmus test of people of what they find funny, and if they don't find Norm Macdonald funny, there's something wrong with them, which I totally agree. So do check him out. He has this insanely silly one-liners as well, and he has this insane whole story of a frog robbing a bank or a moth entering someone's office. It's a very popular joke of his. Do check that out. So Norm Macdonald is another name. Another name which I wasn't a very big fan of, but I have become a fan of very recently, is Kevin Hart. Now, Kevin Hart I knew as the movie star. I never followed his stand-up, but his last stand-up, I remember turning it on because I was hungry basically, and I had to see something, and it blew me away. It was so fucking funny, like really funny. Then I went and saw his first special, and that was like another thing. That was different. I had never seen him be that funny. And his special is coming again, I think on 14th November on Netflix, or 14th November, of course. I think it's just tomorrow, according to me. I don't know. Tomorrow in the sense when I'm recording it, not tomorrow when it's coming out. I think it has already come out when the time this is coming out. So do check that out. It's on Netflix. So Kevin Hart is somebody who I would really recommend, and I think it's a kind of comedy that everybody would enjoy, so go give it a watch. One interesting thing is that I am a very big fan of Joe Rogan, but I make sure I never watch his stand-up because I don't think I'll relate to the things he says on the podcast if I watch his stand-up. I don't know why, but I've made sure I don't watch his stand-up, and I'm pretty sure he's hilarious as well over there, but I don't watch it. I don't know why. I just don't. Okay, moving on. Jim Carrey I've spoken about. Okay. Anthony Jeselnik. Anthony Jeselnik is another comedian who has a very niche set of audience because of the stuff he does, but I really enjoy his work. I think his special called Thoughts and Prayers, I think it's available on Amazon. It's very, very dark, and it's very, very witty at the same time. Please give it a go. It's one of my favorite things to watch. Like if I'm in the right mood, not always, because it requires mood. And I think that's what happened with him. His audience got very niche, and if he tries to do something different now, it won't work. But I feel he's great. Another comedian is Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr is somebody whose work I saw very early, and it was hilarious because I saw his thing on one-liners, and he was extremely, extremely dark, and his videos of heckler takedowns were very interesting. Very interesting, like I said. Like, he had so many Hitler jokes, so many dead baby jokes, I remember, which I found to be like, how can he say this? How can he say this? And it was really funny. It was really fun. I enjoy those things as well. Not always. I enjoy dark comedy, if you are asking. Yes, I enjoy dark comedy, not to a very heightened extent, but I do enjoy it. So Jimmy Carr is somebody, and Anthony Jeselnik, both are people I would recommend if you are looking for very dark comedy. Next two comedians are someone who I really admire. Like these two comedians are probably one of my favorites. Like Dave Chappelle is everybody's favorite, but next two are my specific favorites as well. First is Ricky Gervais. He is just hilarious. He also does rants, but he also tells jokes, and he has very hot takes. If you want to know what his comedy style is, he is very dark at times, but it's very self-loathing, self-deprecative, which is another form of humor that I really enjoy. And similar to him is Louis C.K. I don't know if it's okay to take his name again now because he has been cancelled for allegations against him, sexual allegations, but he still came out with a special, And in this situation, I would go back to that argument of art versus artist, because his artistic capabilities are like far superior to anything I've seen. He is very special. Like his premises are very very interesting, and he also has that self-deprecating sense. But his premises are really interesting. He has this entire premise about how Christianity is the winner of all religion, because you follow the Christian calendar. Like what is 2020? It's the number of years Jesus would have lived if he lived till 2020. That would be his date of birth, right? Because we follow that, and that's what we are counting from. That's our measure of counting of how long Jesus Christ was born ago, basically that. So that's a very hilarious premise. He has other hilarious premises as well, and I think you should check him out. I'm just giving basic one liners about comedians, and I think you should check their specials out. I'll be putting out visuals of specials and stuff in case you're wondering. Sorry for all the audio listeners, you have to go and Google it basically. Okay, so moving on, these were the two. Ricky Gervais and Louis C.K. are very, very favorites of mine as well. Moving on, I would recommend everybody to go back and watch few of Mitch Hedberg's work. Mitch Hedberg again is a very popular comedian, and he does one-liners. He has passed away sadly, but his one-liner stuff is very very interesting. I think he is one of that comedians that every comedian likes. Or if you ask any comedian who their favorite comedian is, they would pick Mitch Hedberg because he has hilarious one-liners, and it's very tough to come up with one-liners, to be really honest. And that's why he's very special. I think you should check out his work. I don't know how else to explain it, but I think that's might sum it up. Anybody who I'm putting on the list is already somebody I've thought about a lot, so I think it's a very good recommendation that I'm giving. Now recently I've discovered Nikki Glazer, and I really enjoy her work because she's somebody who I initially didn't like, but then I saw her on Conan again, and then I followed her stand up, and she is very very hilarious. She talks about very very interesting things which are very eye opening for me. On the same page I would put Sarah Silverman. Sarah Silverman is again a hilarious comedian. I actually haven't seen any of her specials through and through, but I've seen her work on specific sketches and on specific shows. She has a very hilarious podcast. So does Whitney Cummings. Her podcast is also very good. And I think Amy Poehler and Tina Fey have contributed to comedy way more than any female in the recent years. So check out their work as well. They're not stand-up comedians per se, but they are good improv artists and good writers, and they are very very popular on SNL. So check out their work as well. Few more that I would like to recommend are Carlin. Carlin, if I don't think our generation will connect with, but going by the situation of the world, I think he's the most relevant person to listen to. If you are, he's very preachy as well, but things make sense, to be really honest. What he says, he has this. He had this special that he had to remove, that he recorded the day before 9/11, and it was strangely titled "I Kinda Like It When a Lot of People Die," and that's specifically why it got removed, because of the timing of when it was about to come out. So he has very controversial stuff as well, and I think you should check them out, because anything I say won't do justice to their work. This has become a recommendation thing, and I think that's where this episode ends, guys, with Carlin. I think it had to end with Carlin. I'm pretty sure I'm missing out multiple comedians I like. Watch out SNL. Oh, watch out improv comedy stuff. If you are into improv comedy, please check out Whose Line Is It Anyway. It's a hilarious show. Improv is basically a style of comedy when nothing is written. You come up things on stage, and there are hilarious things on Whose Line Is It Anyway. Colin Mockery and Brian Sherwood, and who else? So many people. I think Drew Carey was the host. Also, I think Alicia was the host of the latest season, so check it out. It's really, really good. Colin Mockery is my favorite improv artist of all time, and it's really great. So check improv out if you're interested in improv. And for sketch comedy, you can check Key and Peele, the Chappelle Show, and SNL. SNL also is very funny. So that SNL has few sketches on YouTube. You should check immediately, like the Papyrus one. Papyrus is probably my funniest. Also, watch out compilations of people breaking on SNL while reading this stuff. Bill Hader is somebody I found out from SNL, and then I saw Barry, which was insanely good. So that way, I think things connect and interconnect. Lastly, for music recommendation, I would suggest watch two things. Watch watch three things rather. Watch Adam Sandler's new stand-up special. I would put the link, put the visual. It has very nice songs. Watch Bo Burnham's work if you haven't heard of him. Please watch his work. Great music comedy. And Flight of the Conchords, I think, is a great comedy music recommendation which I would like to give to anybody listening. So those were the things that I wanted to say, and I think these are okay for this episode. I know it's a very, like I said, it's a very small episode. It was a bit slower than usual because I didn't speak much. I just gave recommendations. Basically, it was a picnic that I came on. I gave a few recommendations, and now it's up to you what you want to do. So thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming and being a part of this again. Please go and follow this podcast anywhere. Follow the YouTube channel. Follow me everywhere. All the links are given in the description. And thanks, guys. Thanks for being a part of this. You are listening to Some of My Jokes Don't Land. This is Ayan. See you soon. Bye bye.